So I'm faced with an interesting first world problem. About 2.5 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, my colleague and in-law, the late Narcissus Blood, was approached by a couple of documentary filmmakers. And this was a young married couple who had abandoned the academy. They're academics. They left the academy and they went around the world in search of alternative models for adult education with a focus on sustainable living practices, and particularly indigenous models for that. So they came here to southern Alberta. I think this was actually the first place that they came because they had heard about Ghana Studies, which is the program that I used to coordinate. That was recently undermined in a neo-colonial strategy to shift the training agenda of Red Crow College on the Blood Reserve. So they came to us and they asked if they could film us talking about our program and our work and all of that. And the filming went good, and we got students involved, and out of it they ended up putting together a documentary film that has recently been made publicly available online, and I will include a link in the description section of this video so that you can go and watch that documentary film if you wish. So they made the film, they went through several iterations of it, and they came back and conferred with us, and they even did a little bit more filming later after they'd traveled the world and seen some other places, some other models. And they met some interesting people. And more recently, in the last year, they decided they would organize a meeting of some of the very interesting people that they've met around the world who are involved in this kind of education shift, paradigm shift in education. And so they started working toward that. And unfortunately, in the midst of that work, just before the plans were settled, Narcissus passed away tragically in a car accident. My friend and colleague, in-law, pretty much my best friend. So he would have been involved in this meeting if he was still around, but he's not going to be. And so myself and my wife, Mahoney, Adrian, we're going to go. And the meeting is going to be held at a little eco-village in Portugal this upcoming week. And I think the town or the village area is called Tamera in Portugal. I think we're going to be there 7 or 8 nights. I expect there'll be a screening of our film and a lot of just sharing and workshopping and idea swapping and just mingling, spending time with people who have, in one way or another, a similar kind of agenda or interest in adult education. So anyway, we're going to this, and my first world problem is I'm really a little bit worried on a number of levels about our participation in this. One of them is that Mahoney is arthritic, and travel usually is a very big challenge for her body. She usually takes a hit in the first day or two that we're traveling. She's often in a wheelchair. And it looks like the place that we're going, like I don't know whether to expect to have electrical heating at night, for instance, or any kind of heating other than layering up clothes and sleeping bags and such, which we have to bring ourselves. There's accommodations, but we need to bring our own sleeping bags, pillows, sleeping pads. This is not going to be, I fear, good for Mahoney's body. Her body is used to having a mattress, and I think, maybe if it was a long-term thing, if we were staying there a year, this kind of exercise in sleeping with the temperature fluctuations of night and day on less padded and heated environments might actually be helpful for her. But in a very short-term period of 7 or 8 days, I suspect it's going to be very difficult on her body. We'll see. So that's one of my concerns. Another part of my concern is that we're going to be fed an entirely vegan, vegetarian diet. We're used to eating a fairly protein-heavy diet. I'm curious to see whether our hungers will feel satisfied while we're there, and what that will do to our experience of enjoying our time with our colleagues. We'll see. Inviting Blackfoot Indians to go somewhere and eat vegan for a week, that's quite a challenge. On top of all that, I'm unemployed, right? So I have been, getting some very small side contracts, and I have been making a few bucks a day, relocated rattlesnakes, and teaching some very private courses. For instance, tomorrow and Saturday, I'm taking a little group up into the mountains to climb a sacred mountain called the Nastucco Chief Mountain. And I expect to receive some remuneration from that, from the people that go there and are learning for the first time the route up the mountain and what I have to teach them along the way. For the experience, I expect to be paid, but because it's a sacred site, I really can't ask for a specific pay or anything like that. So I just kind of have to leave it up to the people to practice what I would call, sabonstan, put something into it. And they may or may not, right? So it's kind of up in the air whether I'll make anything off of it. But that's kind of the way that business has been going for me lately is I've been making enough money to contribute to our household bills such that we are barely scraping by and making the bills. Barely. Usually at the last couple of days of the month we finally make all of our bills. Our mortgage for this house is being paid right at the beginning with Adrian's salary of every month. But after that, it's kind of just a struggle to make one bill at a time, right? So we have, our utilities and our phones And we got cable, which we could probably do without. Well, definitely I could do without, but I don't know about the girls. They like to watch some programs. Me, most of my entertainment in that respect is online. And groceries and what have you, right? Like right now my tires are bald on my Jeep and I need new tires. That's going to be expensive. That's going to be somewhere between $600 and $800, I'm sure. And I don't have any money for it. And we're taking off halfway around the world, literally, to go somewhere where, we have no idea whether there's going to be any kinks in the plans, and to what extent we're going to have to fall back on money we don't have to support ourselves while we're out there. It's a little bit frightening. And I don't know about the people. Like I know Udi and Kelly, the couple who are hosting this and bringing us out there, and I trust them, and I know, got a sense of who they are from our work with them on the film. But all the others who are coming, I got no idea. I mean, we could just be going into a situation where it's really just kind of a bunch of academic hippies who are sitting around, playing guitars and singing kumbayas, and I have no clue. Just the idea that we're going to this place, this kind of like, it's called, we call it Eco Village, but it seems to me like kind of just a little compound that has an almost cult-like flavor to it. I mean, everybody has to have a vegan diet. I understand, the idea of growing your own food out there, which is what is a part of it. Like I think most of what we're going to eat is food that is being grown on site. But there's no reason you can't grow some animals. And I understand living very modestly in terms of energy use and that kind of a thing, and the accommodations and all that. I understand, right? On one hand, if it is what it is, but if it's something weird, I don't know. And I just hope that Adrian's health is okay. Otherwise, we could be forced to move out of the camp, go to a city and a hotel, and have an expensive journey that we don't even have money to pay for. And I don't know what the communications situation is going to be like. Whether we're going to have good high-speed internet. I suspect so, because there was someone at Tamera, I believe, who was on a online video conference with us at one point. So I would think that they do have that, but whether access to it is going to be limited to us or anything like that, I don't know. I hope not, because I would like to continue updating both my Facebook and YouTube channels on the progression of our journey while we're there. But yeah, bunch of stuff there, bunch of potential, sources of worry. On the other hand, what I could be doing is just embracing it for what it is, rather than throwing concerns and worries at it and building up stress in myself for something that I know we're gonna go do it. We're not backing out, right? We talked about it this morning, Adrian and I, because actually we thought maybe we should back out, but we feel indebted in a sense, because our travel arrangements have already been made and paid for, not by us, right? And we are. That's another thing. We're not being paid to attend this meeting, but we are being sponsored in our travel, and I guess you can't really argue with too much with a free trip to Portugal. So, first world problems. Hopefully everything will be okay. Hopefully it'll be very interesting. Hopefully we will have great benefit from this endeavor, this adventure, and it will lead to other good things. These are all of the incentives that are potentially there, that all we can do is see whether or not they pan out. But certainly, one way or another, we're going to have ourselves an experience, and I hope to, in what respects I can, share that experience through video. So stay tuned for more. We're going to be leaving for that on Tuesday, and we'll be gone till the 29th. So that whole time we'll be in travel, and hopefully we'll have, there's a lot of hope in there. Hopefully we'll have internet, and I'll be able to keep updating.